Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about your favorite TV shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we are talking about The Fallout, Season 1. Renee is here to join me. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. So good to talk with you again. It's been a little bit.
Yes, it's always fun. I can't wait.
Before we get into our question of the day, I just quickly would love it if you would just share with people your writings on undead walking and also maybe a little bit about the camp that's coming up, just so people know.
Yeah, so I the editor for Undead Walking, which is a fan-sided, they have about over 30 different entertainment sites. So I write for several of them as a freelance, but my primary writing space is Undead Walking, and you can check it all out there. It obviously covers The Walking Dead, but
Yes.
I try to cover a lot of all the different shows and movies they're all being cast in now that The Walking Dead has ended, and of course continue coverage of all of the spin-offs and anything coming after. So try to keep it pretty diverse, but it is very Walking Dead related. And then on that note, this Memorial Day weekend, I will be in Peachtree City at the Peachtree Hilton for the camp event, the annual camp event, which hosts I think there's at least 30 guests, most of them Walking Dead this year. You know, there are some other ones, but most of them are Walking Dead related. So it's just a smaller convention, very intimate. And we take over the whole hotel, and there's parties every night and lots of actors to meet. You know, they, of course, do autos and selfies and those things. And we do panels. We've got several really fun panels to where we'll interview the actors and things. And then there's the one unique thing with the camp is it's very charity based. So we do a lot of charity work, and a lot of the money goes to charity. And another thing is the intimate events that they will host, like say Josh Hamilton, who played Lance Hornsby, they have a wine tasting event with him. You know, things that kind of correlate with their character from The Walking Dead. And so it's a lot of fun. This year, Laurie Holden is doing a mermaid painting with everybody because of the mermaid necklace that she got for Amy and was never able to give it to her, you know? So yeah, they try to make it kind of fit the character and things. But it's an amazing event. I've been with it since the beginning, and it's just grown and grown. And they've got a lot of exciting new things. They're adding a horror con next year, separate from the camp, you know, still doing the camp. And then they also have this fall, they have an event at Universal Studios, which isn't a convention. It's a very I don't know how you kind of explain it, but it's very interesting. But their website is thecampevents.com, and you can learn about all the different things that they have there.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I wish I was there to join
Me
you.
Too. You need to come one year.
I know. I will. Hopefully I will. Keep my fingers crossed. Okay, we are going to get to the Fallout, but I just wanted Renee to share with all of you who she was and what she does in case you don't haven't seen our podcast episodes on The Walking Dead or all the spinoffs. And of course, we are going to do Daryl Dixon season 2 coming up in the summer. So you can look forward to that if you watch any of The Walking Dead, which we hope you do. Anyway, we are going to get to this episode on the Fallout. And I wanted to start off with a question of the day because we normally do, and it always pertains to something in the show. And so the question of the day is about the 50s. And I just would love to know what trend from the 50s would be fun to see again. So I want to pose this to you, all of our listeners, and also to Renee to see what she thinks.
I would say the fashion. I just love the dresses, and that, you know, everybody was so, like, we always joke about how, you know, June Cleaver vacuuming in her pearls and all this kind of thing, you know. So I think the fashion would be so much fun.
I wholeheartedly agree. I was thinking the poodle skirts, or even thinking about how they dressed in Greece.
Yes.
And just all of that, right? The pink ladies, just all of that. I always have loved the 50s, that whole vibe. So it's kind of cool that this franchise, this series, and the video game has this retro futuristic vibe of the 50s. So I just think it's really cool. So yes, I totally agree. I mean, I was thinking about songs, and it reminded me, of course, of Happy Days also, which is Rock Around. Is it Rock Around the Clock? Yeah, Rock Around the Clock. And also I thought of La Bamba too. We've been talking a lot about the 50s because of this series in my household. And 2 of my sons have watched this series also. So I might bring in some things that they have to say about this particular TV show. But anyway, friends out there, let us know what you think. What trend from the 50s would you like to see again? You can let us know what you think. You can comment here on YouTube or reach out to us on social media at Screens in Focus. All the links are in the show notes. And also, you can reach us at our website at screensinfocus.com because we would love to know what you think. Okay. So let's get into Fallout. So, season 1, we are diving into this wildly popular show and this first season of Fallout. And it's set in this post apocalyptic Los Angeles world, which is based on the video game of the same name. And we see Lucy and Maximus and the Ghoul, and they are just so many surprises happen in this series as they navigate this devastated world from a nuclear war. And it has such a mix of drama and humor and this, of course, retro vibe that we are talking about. So I would love to know, Renee, what your overall thoughts of the season were, and also why you think everybody's loving it.
Well, I think that especially for non-gamers, this is something new. The story isn't necessarily original at its heart, at the root, I guess the root of it, but it does it in such a original execution, I guess, is what, because this setting and everything. And so I think that's definitely a draw. It's like this, retro feel, this world kind of frozen in time kind of thing where everything feels so, it's just, I love how like the 50s, it's just so much fun to see all these things, like I think like the little things that they have on their wrists, the vault dwellers, and how big those are. And I think about like now our little watches can do like, all these things, and they have this giant thing, but that's the technology they would have had in the 50s. So that's what they have. So it's fun to see those pieces like that. And, see that 50s with the post-apocalyptic, background, the fallout and everything. It's just fun. It's fun TV. And I think that the characters are very well written, and, you kind of gravitate towards them immediately. I mean, as soon as they're introduced in things, it's like, oh yeah, there's things about them that you're just excited to learn more and see what the heck's going to happen with these people. And I just feel, and I also feel like that the comedy element, there's just enough comedy to kind of against that wasteland kind of thing, which seems kind of out of place, but it fits,
Yeah.
And so I just think people enjoy it because it has a lot of originality to it, whether, even though it's, we've seen apocalyptic stories, we've seen nuclear wastelands, this and that, and shows, movies, all kinds of things, but not in this theme, I guess. And then they add the music into it, which again is another like contradiction of whatever. So I just think it's a lot of fun, and I think that's why people really like it.
It is a lot of fun. And I think you're right about the contradictions. And I think that's why it works. And like you said, a dystopian world, an apocalyptic world, we've seen it before and we gravitate toward it, but it is done in a different way. And I think when you can build on these characters, which are really well done and they're well written, and the characters are three-dimensional. So I think all of that is a draw. And also, like you had said, the mix of, I guess, drama. It doesn't feel like a lot of drama, but it is. I mean, there's a lot of violence and things happening, but it's a lot of humor too. And so I think that works, right? Because some of the things can be so devastating, but you're lightening them up with the humor that they have on the show. So I do think it's a great blend of that. And also, of course, the retro vibe. I think that really, really works. And I think that really elevates it. And I know we'll probably talk a little bit more later about it, but it's the whole cinematography. It is all the shots, all of the different worlds that we see are these characters in. So it's pretty exciting. So, in saying that, the characters are the main, element of this whole show. We see Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul. So let's talk a little bit about them and what you like about them or what you think about them. And let's start with Lucy since, well, actually we see the Ghoul first as Cooper Howard, but let's just start with Lucy. What did you think of her? And she is played by Ella Purnell, who is a vault dweller. So what were your thoughts of her and her character?
Well, I think she's amazing. I love her, that 1950s can-do attitude that she's got. She's just gonna leave the vault she's never been outside of and go find her dad. She's like, I can do
Yeah.
this. I've got
Yeah.
training. And so I just
Yeah.
love that, because it's kind of that era. That was what it was all, they tried to make everything positive, and even though they're experiencing a lot of issues in different realms of their lives or whatever. So I just love that about her, because she just goes for it, and her attitude's infectious then too, because you're excited for
Yeah.
her, like, oh wow, she's gonna go do this, and you're excited to see how she handles herself outside and things. And so I just think, even though she steps outside, is completely out of her element, she really adapts, and she just figures it out. And I really, really enjoy her character.
I really liked her a lot too. I didn't know her. I know she's played in several other things. I think she was in Yellow Jackets
Yeah,
and some
that's where
other
I know her
things.
from.
Yeah. So I haven't had the opportunity to watch it just because of where it's at,
Yeah.
where it streams, but I really did like her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved her character because she really changes from the beginning to the end. She does have that positiveness about her, her okie dokie
Yep.
that she says a couple of times, and just her life in the vault, because she seems chipper and maybe naive, but at the same time, I like that she is able to defend herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows how to defend herself. Like when she gets married in episode 1, and then she realizes that her new husband is a raider, and she has to fight him, and she holds her own against him. And I thought, wow, she really learned how to fight, which is interesting because she's in the vault, but I'm sure she's learned that too, along with all the other things that she talks about. And sorry, I have to bring this up just because I thought about it as you were talking, how they're all in the vault, but they have relationships with each other because they talk about being cousins. And her one cousin is in love with her, and she's like, okay, but we know that can't, move forward that way. We have to, I have to find somebody else. So anyway, so I did really enjoy her as a character very much. And yeah, we'll get to it in a little bit, but the ending just has her in a different, having experienced all the things that she does throughout the whole series. And I don't know if I should jump into it now, because now I'm thinking about it, because I'm thinking about when she has to cut out that guy's head, right? And when her finger gets cut off. It's just all these things that she's dealing with. And that how she sees Maximus as the knight, and thinks he's like a hero and the greatest thing. And then of course she comes to know who he is and befriends him, and then they start their relationship. So there's just so much that she goes through in this season, and then even with her dad and what she finds out at the end. Just a lot. I just think that it was really well cast, and I really do enjoy her character. Okay, let's get to Maximus, since I mentioned him already, who is played by Aaron Moten, and he is the Brotherhood of Steel. So what did you think about his character?
Well, initially you kind of feel a little bad for him, because, he's getting beat up and all these things, I mean, it's like you kind of feel bad when he goes out with the knight and he gets ready to do his job and all that kind of, that's like an
squire.
honor.
He's called a squire,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a squire,
Sorry.
right? And so that's supposed to be an honor to do this grunt work for this knight,
Yes.
right? And all these things. And it's just, you see him kind of, he's not really into it, but he's like, okay, I'm going to do it because I got to do it, kind of thing. Of course, where other ones, they really thought it was an honor, and he just didn't see it quite that way. But, then he takes on, he's got all these things that, he has all these responsibilities to take on. Then the guy's dead, and he has a choice. What do I do next? Where a lot of them would have called back and said what happened, but he just took charge and was like, I can do this, and attempted to do all these things that the knights would have done to carry on the mission. And so I thought he was interesting, and I feel like we need to learn more about him, I guess, is what my thing, like my ultimate thing is. I feel like we definitely need to see more of him and see, what's driving him and this and that, even though we got to see a little bit. I just feel like he was a very good character, and I liked the acting of the character, but I felt like he was very underdeveloped compared to Lucy and the Ghoul.
Yes.
We need to learn more about him, I guess, is what my
Yeah.
whole thing is, but I did like him though. I thought he was a fun character, very interesting.
It's funny, when I first met him, I wasn't sure how I felt about him. I just had, but what I did like about him was that he felt real. He
Yeah.
felt like a real character because he didn't have a stance. He wasn't like, I'm the hero and this is what I'm going to do, or I'm the bad guy. He like was so good at playing this person in between that. I felt, because I didn't know, well, do I like him? What does he do? Just the choices he made, because sometimes I thought he was going to step out as being a hero and then he didn't. Like, he was a little bit timid. And normally people don't play timid as one of the leading, roles. So I thought that was kind of interesting that his character was that way. One of my sons, my oldest son, who has played the game and really dug in deep to this whole series, absolutely loved it. He was saying how season 2, and I know I'm jumping ahead here, season 2 really seems to him that they'll concentrate on him, and also that he might have some moral dilemmas about how he will move forward, either with, now I'm not sure if he exactly said this, but I don't know if it's either with the Brotherhood or if it's with how he sees Lucy after this, because he's knocked out and comes to after she's gone. So I don't know, what is he going to think about that? So I'm not really sure where he's going to go with that. But we did see him as a child. A knight came and got him. So I think that's why he sort of appears to look up to the Brotherhood of Steel. But at the same time, we see him as a child. And so he was raised with these people who probably weren't super loving. I don't really know. But so, yes, we do need to learn more about his past. And I think that we will. But yeah, so he was a good character to learn a little bit more about. Okay, so let's get into Cooper Howard, the Ghoul, played by Walter Goggins. Man, oh man, he was so good. Both my sons are like, this is our favorite character. We love him. We love him from previous things we've seen. We love him here. I really mostly know him from Sons of Anarchy. They know him from Justified and from, is it Vice Principals, I think, and such. And I think they have other shows that they watch him in. But what did you think of his character?
I thought he was fantastic. There's all this hype around him, and I'm like, seeing this picture of this guy, this whole, it's like, what is this? So finally one day, way before the premiere, I read about, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's Walt Goggins, and I was like, okay, well, that'll be interesting. I feel like this looks, after reading a little bit, I was like, this is a character he can definitely do, and I kind of feel like it was like written for him. You know what I mean? He was born to play this character. He was very interesting. It was interesting just to see his, as Cooper and as the Ghoul. We got to learn so much about him, and there'd be a lot of fun for him as an actor to play these two very different roles of the same person, So I just thought it was fun. I liked how they sprinkled his backstory throughout, like we learned little bits and pieces, kind of piecing him together and things. So I thought it was a fantastic character.
Hopefully I said his name right. Did I say Walton Goggins? Anyway, I'm saying it now. Walton Goggins. Yes, I love how he had these two drastically different characters, as you has mentioned too. I noted that down. I guess the whole question that I kept having is, how did he get from here to here? How did he get from there to this person? And we really don't specifically know. We just know he survived this nuclear blast in 200 years and became a ghoul and has those injections that he has. And I know it all pertains to probably the video game, but I kept wondering about his wife, and that's the portion that we keep learning more about. But of course, I'm so intrigued to know what happened to his daughter, because that is what his driving force probably is. And when I had seen the first few episodes, I was interested and I liked it a lot. But it wasn't until the last couple of episodes that I was really sucked in. I felt like, because then I was able to feel more of the story. So I went back and watched the first episode again. And when I watched the first episode, for me, and I'm sure other people did notice, but I hadn't noticed, that when he's at the party at the beginning before the nuclear blast happens, they say to him, "Oh, he's he's a big movie star, or why is he doing these parties?" And they said, "Oh, he's paying alimony." And I thought, "Oh, alimony." I didn't realize that he probably had a divorce in there, and that's probably because of where his wife was working and what she was doing and how she was playing a part in all of this. So I feel like they gave us so much information about him, but there's also so much more to know. Like, we don't know so much, which will be interesting. And that's why we all want to see what the next season will entail with him. But I just think he's just a really good actor. I think he portrayed this very well. I thought that his costume or his makeup, to me, he reminded me a little bit of The Mask. Jim Carrey in The Mask. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of Jim Carrey a little bit for some reason. It cracked me up. So, but yeah, just really well done. All right, we're gonna head into themes. What themes did you see in this series?
Like survival and the transformation of characters and loyalty, of course, with Maximus. And Lucy and her morality and ethics, she's always trying to keep on the straight and narrow and do the right thing, kind of, so those were the ones that stood out to me. I mean, obviously survival, that's everybody's doing that, and so but it's interesting to see how they all handle it differently.
They do,
even other people, even other characters that are introduced, and how they eke out their living in the same world, but they're everyone's coming from different backgrounds and things to begin with. And it was just really fun to see the different ways everyone handles that, because that's their ultimate goal, is to survive in this horrible world.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up so it doesn't escape my brain. I was telling my sons that Eric Estrada was into this, and they're like, "Who?"
Yeah. I was so excited.
Oh, Eric Estrada. He was a huge TV star back in the day. I mean, he made movies too, but
Chips.
But
Chips.
I
love that. Yeah.
And not the movie. We're talking about the original TV show. But he used to be a heartthrob back in the day. But I just thought it was interesting. He was in this, and I didn't know if that played a part in anything that I wasn't aware of, and I don't know that it did. But I just thought it was interesting. He was in this tiny little part. But they did have a lot of big actors in little parts. So I think a lot of people really wanted to be in the series. So I think that they're like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll do it. So yeah. But I think back to the themes, we saw a lot of resilience with Lucy trying to get to her dad. We also saw, like you had said, loyalty with Maximus, and like you said, survival, of course, because everybody's trying to survive the best way they can, the only way that they know how. And also with identity and self-discovery, we're seeing that with the Ghoul and also with Cooper, because in those flashbacks that we see, he's trying to piece things together and what he knows, and also that the whole morals and ethics come into play too, because he realizes toward the end what is going to happen. And of course, with Lucy's dad, is it Hank? Yeah, I think it's Hank, how his approach to everything too, because Lucy's ends up uncovering all these family truths, and even at the end with her mother. Wow. That Ghoul being her mom, that was kind of heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. To see her mom like that. And so like I said, with Cooper's connections to Vault Tech points to those ethical questions. And also, I want to lean into or go into the other thoughts and tidbits that we might have on this, but I wanted to bring up the other Vault that had sort of the misfits of everybody. What did you think of that?
It was odd. Yeah, it was so very odd. I was like, is this going to play a bigger role, or was that all we're seeing of this, or what? Because it was just like, oh, okay, so we're doing this now.
It was hilarious. His eye. Can you imagine? I don't know. It was so funny. And then the one guy with the ear in the middle of his head too. I don't know. I have no idea how they really pulled all of this off with
Mm-hmm.
all the costumes and all the makeup that had to be done. I'm sure. Can you imagine Walt Goggins putting that on all the time? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how long he had to be in that.
I think it was a few
How long it
hours. I thought I
took,
read.
yeah,
Yeah.
to put all that on and take it
Mm-hmm.
all off every time he's on set as that character. Wow, that's just amazing. And just all the sets and everywhere that they showed, the landscape of
Mm-hmm.
it all. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I personally loved, because I'm in California, all the landmarks that they were
Yeah.
showing, because I recognized them all. I'm all, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Griffith Observatory, oh, Hollywood, oh, this, oh, that. It's just kind of cool to see it
Yeah.
all. What did you think about any of that?
Yeah, I really, I guess one thing that really stood out to me was the, well, of course we talked about the 50s part. That was all great, but then I can't get over the soundtrack, because like, these things will be happening and then this this 50s song starts playing, and it was just such a fun, like, it added whimsy to this show that
Yes.
shouldn't have whimsy in it. But again, like we said, it works. And so, yeah, I just think, I think there's a lot of, nostalgia in it all, and it's just fun to see it. I don't know why we all love nostalgia so much, but we
We
do.
do. We
And it's
do.
just neat to see those things from a bygone era still be, used in, like in the, when he was as Cooper, to see all that, like, especially like you said, if you're noticing all those landmarks and things, that's even more
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
because it's always kind of fun to just put oh, look, that's, how it would have looked in the 50s, I guess,
Yeah.
or whatever. I just thought it was such a fun series. I really, really enjoyed
It
it.
is. It is. It is a fun series. And I too, you can't watch it and not hear all the music, because it's blaring too. It's
Yeah.
not subtle in the background. It's like right in your face. I think that was one of the reasons that my younger son really, really enjoyed this movie. He loved all of that. He's the one who brought up to me also the design and the costume
Yeah.
and all of that, because it's just visually. And he asked me, he's all, when other people watch these shows, does there, because he's a graphic
Mhm.
visual guy, he's all, do other people automatically go to that? He goes, because that's what to
Mm.
me really makes an impact. I'm like, okay, you're asking me, your mother who loves film, talks about TV and film. Yes, of course I look at that. I don't know what other people look at,
Yeah.
but I'm noticing that too. And music has always played a huge part for me in movies.
Mhm.
It just, to me, helps it along. But with the music that we hear, we went out to dinner the other day and we were coming home and we're like, what should we listen to? And guess what we listened to? The soundtrack to Fallout. Oh my God. We were laughing so hard at that. I don't know the name of the song, but it's funny. And it just go listen to it, because it's quite amusing. But yeah, all of the music. Yeah. And even some of the really nice, good songs, that you would
Oh,
hear.
yeah. Mhm.
Frank Sinatra or anyone else singing was just very cool. All right. Well, at the end, in the finale, we do see all three of them together. And now it kind of seems to me that it seems like moving forward that Lucy and the Ghoul are going to work together
Mhm.
moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Because now it is revealed she knows what her dad has done, and it doesn't seem like it's sitting right with her
Mhm.
anymore after she went all that way to save him.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Mhm.
how devastating for her to go through that, right?
Mhm.
And then to see her mother there like that. And I had already mentioned how I think Maximus, we're not sure what is going to happen now, because he doesn't know what happened when he was knocked out.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see. Do you have any thoughts on, where this could go in season 2? I do want to mention that last shot was of Las Vegas, which I know is one of, I think, the favorite Fallout games that people
Mhm.
really enjoy. So it looks like that'll be possibly the setting for season 2, which will be really cool to see it
Mhm.
Las Vegas. Do you have any thoughts about the finale, or what you hope you'll see in season 2?
Yeah, I don't even know. It's one of those ones where it's like, this thing could go anywhere, because it's just
Yeah.
already done so many. I mean, the first episode, things went like, oh wow, that's very different than I thought it was gonna go. So yeah, it's very hard to imagine what'll be next. But I do like the idea of Vegas. That would be very cool to see that. We've seen a couple series where Vegas is kind of, all tore apart and all this kind of stuff, but it's always fun to see another take on it, and of course 1950s Vegas is very different than currently. So yeah, but I don't even know what to guess. I just don't, because it just seems to take me for a loop every time I'm watching another episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'll be fun. I think for me, I do want to see the Ghoul and Lucy, I don't know, get to know each other more, maybe work together. I don't know. Oh, the dog. We didn't talk about the dog.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked the dog in this. Every time there's a dog in there, I'm all for the pet. Mm-hmm. And we didn't even talk about the creatures that came out of the sea.
Oh, like that salamander guy or whatever he was, that big thing that
he had something for his little chompy things. Weren't they fingers or hands?
Yeah, they were fingers. Yeah. I don't know what kind of mutant that is.
That was very bizarre. So I love all that. I'm sure, again, it's probably all in the video game. And so it's all very cool. It's so good. I love how they just brought everything to life. It's just so well done. Thank you, Renee, for joining me in talking about, I was going to say the Fall Guy. That's a different episode, but the Fallout. Sorry, talking about Fallout.
Yes, of course. I was excited to talk to you about to see your thoughts and everything. So it's always fun.
I love hearing your thoughts. So thank you so much for joining me. I always love your perspective and your insights and everything you have to say. So it's always fun hanging out with you. So thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. Please be sure to check out Renee. Her link is in our show notes. So she has great articles, so informative. So please go check that out. All right. We want to thank you all for joining us today. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you joined us, and we hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness and positivity. Please don't forget to subscribe to Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com, because we would love more members of our TV club. You can find our website in our show notes. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.